Hi everyone, my name is Don. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made this crochet crab. So this is a piece I've made before in the past in red. You can see on my Instagram. I decided to make it again because I thought it was a very interesting piece, especially how the claws turn out. This is a piece I created myself. I didn't find anything online similar, but I really like how it turns out, especially when you look at the details. So this is a relatively simple piece. I use a single color and basically only the single crochet stitch. However, the claws are something that I'll show you how I made with two pieces stitched together. As well, I think one of the difficult parts is that the legs are so small, and when you're crocheting with such a small diameter, things get a bit difficult and it's hard on the hands at times. With that in mind, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Alright, so once again, this is not a full tutorial, but more of a little walkthrough of how I create this piece. So I start off as usual with a numbered, a 3mm crochet, the smallest I have, and I make a magic loop, and I start with 6 in that loop. Notice how I'm holding the magic loop so that it's easy to do, and you just pull it through, and there you go. So I'm really going to speed up the first part here because it's quite standard. I just start with the normal flat increases, make them as tight as possible, and here I'm showing you where I'm at here about, I think it's a 5 single crochet until a double crochet all around. And it's really the standard way I start anything when I make anything a ball shape or anything like that. It's really not the most interesting part, especially for this one. It is a little big, and I think I went up to about 8 single crochets until a double crochet. And here I'm just showing you how the double crochets end up being at the corners there and makes a little hexagon. But once you do single crochet rows, things kind of just soften up and aren't as sharp. So here I did about 5 rows of single crochets, and it's a nice little dome. And I think I'm ready to make the base. I am doing a back loop only to create that edge again, and I'll show you how that turns out. But it is really an effective way of making something a bit sharper and not just a little ball, especially when you fill it up. So here, as you can see, I really just decrease. There's no single crochet rows, and it makes that really nice edge on the sides there that can make the bottom shape of the crab. Almost looks like a jellyfish at this point. And I'm gonna decrease again. I really want to make it tight because we want to make it flat, and then we can start stuffing it. So here I'm just stuffing it with, again, polyfill, cutting off any loose ends. Make sure the magic loop at the start is tight, and then it's always a bit easier to close once you have the little ball in your hand. And I just close, make sure it's filled to my liking, and there you have it. And that's the main body of the crab, and I'm just shaping it to see that I can make it really flat. You can kind of see a little flower shape there from the decreases. Moving on to the claws. It's quite difficult, honestly. You just start with a small, I think I did about 4 single crochets into the magic loop, which is quite small, and then I'll put an increase, like a double, like 2 single crochets in a single loop to increase here and there, really just going by ear, seeing what works. And then I was quite happy with that. It ended up being about maybe 12 single crochets around, and it's a little kind of horn, and I made a second one. You can shape these really well without having to do the exact shape. You can kind of pull and tug, and it makes a little corner there. So I make an identical one more or less, and then all I do is I do the single crochet through the other one as if I was just making it around there, so that I'm joining both circumferences into one kind of oval shape. It's really quite simple. Once you do it, you'll see that it really is not much to it, and I would just go around until I have the length I want. Here it's really just single crochets all around until I have a kind of a tube that's the shape of a claw. And as you can see, I'm trying to see what it would look like, seeing how big it is, and then I would start stuffing. So I don't need to stuff necessarily until the corners, because again, I'm trying to shape things up and I want to make sure that things are to my liking. I do want it to be kind of a big claw, kind of makes it look like a little cuter crab. So I'm really happy with this result. I didn't have to undo things and redo it. And then I close it to the diameter that I want, and again makes single crochets all around to make the arm, make sure the arm is the right length, and I would finish it off at that point. I don't stuff the arm just because I like the weight of the claw to kind of dictate where that arm is gonna rest, and also it makes a nicer shape so that I can bend. I make a second identical one, or almost. I try to make it a little bit smaller just so that the crab has this nice realistic vibe to it, and I think you can't see on camera, but it is quite a bit skinnier, and I really like that look. And I really just made sure that they weren't too thick at the base, the two cones, and then I joined them together in the same fashion and tried to make the arm kind of the same diameter so that it doesn't look too different one another. And then the length is the same so that they can rest in the same position almost. The legs are quite boring. I did, I think, 4 single crochet in this magic loop, and then just single crochets all around until I hit the length I want. And I make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I am aware crabs have 8 legs. I think I saw it after, but I think for this project it made it a bit too many, not just to make, but also in terms of just the look I wanted to go for. And then I move on to final assembly. Which is not much to it, just making sure everything again is symmetrical, that the claw isn't too forward, too backwards compared to the other, that things sit nicely. And again with the legs, that they're nicely spread out in the right direction that I want, and again at the same level. And that's one side. And I'm just showing you how I can shape the legs even if they don't have anything inside. And there you have it. That's it. It took me about, I think, 4 or 5 hours, this one, just because the 6 legs, the claws, everything is quite time consuming, and especially when things are small. The eyes I showed in the previous video, really, I took the same ones as last time. I didn't even make new ones. I found 2 shapes that I liked that were identical. I positioned them where I wanted, kind of a wide set, realistic looking crab, and there you have it. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. You can check out my channel for other crochet videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!